be working in that sense, because the language, this kind of language that will be needed in that seminar, which will be the mathematical one, the figures with the language with numbers, the chemical formulas are not going to work there. If one person is unable to understand because of the noise that has been coming from maybe outside of the room, maybe coming from the audience that is making the noise, they will never be understanding each and everything. So you have to be overcome these barriers. Then emotions can hit back to your way of communication, understanding of communication. If I have a prejudice in myself regarding a certain person, because maybe because my friend doesn't like that person, or maybe because that person has done something to me in the past, my emotions are definitely going to be there right after 5 years. If I don't want to listen to that person, those emotions are never going to be overcome. Culture, there can be cultural differences. For example, you can easily say that the use of color white, the meaning of white color in Indian community is totally different, in Christianity is totally different, and maybe in other areas it will be totally different. The use of color black, it's totally different. The use of color red, it can be for hatred and it can be for love in both cases, or maybe not hatred, but for danger as well, right? So you cannot discuss whatever sort of color selection the other person has made and what perspective the other person has done that. Then we have the poor listening. Poor listening can be physiological, it can be psychological as well. Maybe I'm absent, I am not attentive while listening to the lecture, maybe physiological, if I'm unable to understand because of the poor hearing problem. So it can be the barrier in order to understand the communication at a better level. Then we have the 7 C's of communication. 7 C's of communication, anything that needs to be there whenever you are creating a communication. You need to be clear for whatever you people are talking about. It needs to be not creating any vague language. It needs to be grammatically correct. It needs to be from point to point, connecting each and every dot from the moment I have started listening to the conversation or maybe the communication. Then it needs to be concise. Anything that has been in the prolonged way, as if I can understand the lecture is getting prolonged. If it is like, if this thing is not going to be in the shortened version, people are never going to understand anything. So it always needs to be something short and crisp so that the other person can understand. It needs to have proof. It needs to be concrete. The ideas that I'm sharing to the other person, it needs to come with a proof. I don't have to create something in the fictional world. It needs to have a certain base to it. Then every information that I am providing to the other person, it needs to be correct. It needs to be grammatically correct. Uh, it needs to be correct with the figures, with the numbers, anything that I have to say to the other person, it needs to be correct. Then the other thing needs to be coherent. It needs to be in that sense that it has to make any sense out of it. It doesn't matter that I am going to talk about something that is happening in 2026 and then I am going to change it to the 1920 and then jump back to 2011. I have to make it something that goes with flow. I have to make it something proper. Then every information needs to be complete. It doesn't need to stop and end at an abrupt level. If some person is unable to understand because they are unable to understand where something started and where it's something ending, that it's not a good communication. Either you are writing or either you're speaking. Then you need to use a courteous pitch. You have to use a courteous tone so that the other person can connect with you. If they saw something that is with anger, if they saw something that is with a certain prejudice, they will never understand and they will never connect. And the whole communication process works if you have good rapport with the other person or not.
Oh, of course. How would you feel about taking something?
Moving on with good versus poor communication. Poor communication is something that you don't understand that whom to talk, whom to talk in what level and at what level specifically. If you're unable to understand that, okay, I'll do it later or I'll complete it by 3 p.m. today, you have to be clear and cut. For example, if I say something to someone that, okay, I will do it tomorrow, at what time you will be providing it, if at what time you will be giving me the answer, at what time you will be submitting the assignment, at what time you will be arranging the meeting. So every time, whenever, that's the simple example of the information needs to be clear and complete. Whenever you're talking to someone, the 7 C's of communication, whatever, whenever you are in a certain communication, it needs to follow all these rules, right? Then at what level the workplace communication works and how these things actually work within a certain scenario that it can create confusion. First of all, the teamwork. If people are working at the same pace and at the same level, they need to be treated equally. They need to get the information at the same time. They need to work at such level so that they don't think that some person is actually getting the favoritism from someone and the other person is getting neglected. So every time, whenever you have a certain space, always talk to your team at the same point and at the same level. I can totally understand that in every team there can be positive aspects and there will be negative. There will be strong candidates and there will be weak candidates. That's why we make teams so that the strong candidates can work up with the weak candidates so that they can come up with at the same level. Then, if workplace communication doesn't work good, it actually affects the productivity of the project that you people have been giving to them and you wanted them to work on it. If these people are not going to be working together, there will be conflict. And if you are unable to make a certain conversation and a communication at the same level, it will definitely create confliction between all of them. So you have to always come up with a solution that whenever you people are going to be creating a certain communication, you have to make them to listen and in order to make them to listen to you, you have to create a certain rapport with them. You have to make a certain connection with them at being at the upper level. Then at work level, we can have this, as you can see, that the communication goes with that the workplace will be with you within teams. The communication is going on where one person has to speak and the other person has to listen. Then at the productivity level, either it's in the written form or either it's in the speaking form. Either cases, both of them are having the conversation. At the conflict resolution, either you are working in call center or either you are working on the mails or either you're working someone at the for legal firms or anything. Everything that has come up with a legal solution, they always have to listen to you. And the customer service, we have already discussed the call centers and anything that has to come up with a certain solution for you, they always need to work up with your communication. As if, for example, you have a certain bank issue. Maybe your card has been stuck, maybe some of your amount has been deducted that you were not expecting it. So definitely call your managers at banks, right? If those managers simply say that okay, it's not our concern and we have nothing to do with your payment card or anything, will you be able to trust the bank with your money after that conversation? Definitely not. They have to make it at their level. They have to make it personal so that they can understand that whatever you people are feeling, they are feeling the same. Only at that point you will be trusting the bank. So it's better for have that kind of communication with your each and every workplace communication. Then we have interview communication. Interview communication, you have to dress properly, you have to smile, maintain eye contact, answer confidently. These are the things that people expect when you are part of a certain communication at the interview. Your how you basically dress up, it talks. The moment you are going to walk in the interview room, the way you smile and the way you greet the other person, how you make an eye contact with the other person, how you sit there as a confident person, that talks rather than before you start talking to the other person. So you need to be very much careful about it, selection. Then when you're talking someone at the public level, Whenever you have a certain communication to make at a certain public level, you need to know your audience. You need to practice rather than just abruptly going and start talking to some people. You need to do the practice. Then you always have to speak slowly so that if one person is not okay with your language, if you're going to talk in a slower pace, they will get to know and get the meaning. And use your body language. Always come closer to the people you are actually talking to. It's all about, I'm not talking about that you have to come closer to in that sense that your nose is actually going to be combining. It's something like that. But it's simple as that you have to always walk through the people whom you're actually talking to. It makes it more easy for them to make a connection. So that's all from my side. Anything that you have any question regarding any your communication, and if you're definitely going to move towards the basic advanced level as well. So for you people, so that you can actually try. If you have friends with you, those who wanted to make the communication better, I will definitely suggest that create that kind of role play with the other person, so that they as standing from the other side, maybe asking the question, and you and the other side are answering those questions. It will make both of you to be working. And if not, if you don't have any friends, if you're alone like me, then definitely you can use your AIs. You can talk to Gemini, you can talk to Google, you can easily talk to ChatGPT, and you can be the first person to talk, and they will be the answering one, or you can ask them to take your interview. It will definitely help you in order to create good from your site, right? It will definitely help you. And if you have any question regarding this lecture, and if you have any question regarding anything so you can ask me in the comment section. These are the key takeaways, what you have learned so far. We have talked about the communication is a two-way process. It works like a cycle. Listening is a very important part while you're speaking to the other person, and communication skills can be enhanced while you're doing the practice. So if you have any question, you can ask me in the comment section, and I'm always there for you. So till then, think wise, it will help you.